I failed. Why do we fall? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
Greek mythology is amazing. Writers, philosophers, thinkers, most notably Homer and his illustrious Iliad, paved the way for storytelling in a format that allowed a higher level of thought. Imagery, context, teachings, all of which are the byproduct of a time filled with mystery and awe. But amongst all the lessons and thought-provocative messages that came along with it, there was only ever one contender that stood above the rest, for me. The story of Icarus is a myth derived from Greek mythology and is a tale depicting the ascension and fall of Icarus. Roman poet Ovid cites in his work the following: "When the boy began to delight in his daring flight, and abandoning his guide, drawn by desire for the heavens." The destructive nature of ambition has always been clouded in ambiguity.
Can we talk?
You always say be true to yourself, but you never say which part of yourself to be true to.
Yet I always found that it was perfectly personified in this very story. Icarus and his father Daedalus happened to be confined to slavery under the rule of King Minos. After discovering the fact that his sister, Ariadne, had helped Theseus defeat the Minotaur on the island of Crete. Unhappy and unfulfilled, Daedalus set his eyes on creating an invention that was capable of flight, the perfect incarnation of freedom. And as fate would have it, the two would embark on their flight, a conquest of liberation with nothing but hope in mind. Now there are many depictions of the tale of Icarus. Most famous of all is quite possibly Jacob Peter Gowy's The Flight of Icarus. We see a near monochromatic adaptation of the story. Jacob is renowned for his Baroque style of artistry. His art lends itself to be one of gravitas. It can be characterized by fine detail and exaggerated motion to help create the image of exuberance and drama. The image itself is striking. The emotion captured on Icarus is that of pain, misery, and despondency, a feeling of hopelessness exemplified in his eyes. The concept of being captivated by greatness to then be led on and deceived is nothing short of hysteria. The rendition of his art begs you to ask a question, that being, how far are you willing to strive for success before it destroys you, either mentally or physically? Or in this case, seeking the idea of escapism, a sense of emancipation. Now Jacob always intended Icarus to be the focal point of the story, but there is so much more to it than just that. Take the two men for example. They are both an allegory of life. Time doesn't stop for anybody. Life is always progressing. It never takes a step back. Death is
inevitable.
The two men with their back facing Icarus are unaware of what is even happening. They embody life irrespective of what is around them. The picture is nothing but a metaphor translating the fact that life will always carry on without you. The alignment of his rendition is perfect in showcasing chaos embracing itself within the gorgeous, near immaculate backdrop. In contrast, the Forsaken tragedy is materialized by the red garment annotating nothing but death. The sun breaking through is a clear indication of aspiration and hope. Icarus is blinded, yet fascinated by ambition. He just can't help but fly towards it even after Daedalus had warned him not to. And in the process of doing so, his wings are destroyed, leading to his death. Temptation can be deceiving. But what I find to be striking, in fact, is that if that were the case, if the sun was painted out to be a metaphor, if it depicted greatness, then the notion of pathetic fallacy, adorned by the crashing waves depicted from down below, can be annotated as a visual embodiment of being deceptively safe. Now, what do I mean by that exactly? The Icarus deception is commonly associated with how Western ideology both propagated and instigated the idea that Icarus had been warned, foretold, not only about the sun, but also the sea, as getting too close to it would ruin the lift when flying, demonstrating that the sea is just, if not more dangerous, than the sky above, and shouldn't be taken for granted. So if the sun implicates everything that's good and righteous about life, then the sea must represent the opposite, a deep feeling of animosity and sadness, the prospect of giving up in a sense, be it your dreams or at the expense of happiness. The basic principle is fairly straightforward. Would you rather die trying, or do you decide on giving up at the face of uncertainty? Literary observation would lead us to believe that the story of Icarus is nothing but a consequence of personal overambition. Icarus on that day just wasn't as fortunate. When I think of him, I see a man who tried his best, and in the end, his best just wasn't enough. And that is upsetting. but I can't help but think that he was driven by hope. Hope in the unknown that maybe, just maybe, that doorway in front of you led to anything and everything that you had ever wanted. Having hope, having faith in yourself, having faith in someone that means everything to you, that is happiness. You deserve that and nothing less. In the end, we are but human. Emotionally driven, we allow our emotions and faith to guide us in the right path because we seek happiness first and foremost. We need to feel safe. We need to feel loved. We find love in the confines of those we hold so dear. The construct of happiness will always be in hope. It can dictate your perspective on life in a way you can't even imagine, in the most positive way. You can't help but think that everything will fall into place in some way because it will. Everything happens for good reason. We have to have a sense of belief. I know it's hard not to, and it's easier said than done, but try not to worry as much. Things may be tough right now, but you will get through everything. Happiness will find you in good time. Even when we feel down and feel broken inside, we need to have faith. I need you to believe in yourself because one day you'll be rewarded in ways you can't even imagine. Blessings that we cannot yet fathom or even comprehend. You may even have it now but have yet to realize. We have to learn to be patient. Hope will always be hard to comprehend at first, to a certain extent if you can't get a hold of it. There needs to be an understanding. It can be as easy as a flip of a coin that can dictate your whole life. If you can take one thing away from me, I would want it to be this. Whatever brings you happiness, joy, affection, that feeling we just can't ever explain. A feeling so pure, so comforting that it puts your heart at rest and makes everything feel okay. Hold on to them and never let go. We find that the pain and sadness that we were going through is rendered non-existent when they're by our side. But yet we tend to lose sight of everything we hold so dear. Everything we love when we find ourselves feeling down and lost. And that's okay. People deal with things differently. Things take time, but you can find alleviation in the fact you will always find peace within them, within the construct of love. That will never change. Always look at the bigger picture with them by your side, and everything will make sense. You will be where you need to be. Everything will become clear in perfect time. As my boy Master Uguay once said, there are no accidents. Everything happens for good reason. And at this point in time, here and now, you are exactly where you need to be. And you can find sanctity in the fact that one day, you will look back and see just how much you've grown and how far you've come. That being said, as of right now, the pain we go through on a day-to-day basis may feel as if it will never go away. And you're never alone when that thought comes to mind. At times, it is just too much to bear. An overwhelming feeling of doubt clouds our judgment. You feel as if you're drowning, your mind slowly descending into hopelessness. But I'm here to tell you that everything will be okay. We fall so we can get back up. Life is tough. Life is full of hardship. The pain we all go through and overcome in the end makes us who we are. We live and we learn, and we do that together. Please understand that we never have to go through it alone. Learning to share your pain, sadness with that someone, that is where both peace and happiness resides, in the comfort of each other. You see, in that given moment, it's no longer a my problem, it's now our problem. Everything that has been weighing you down all this time is lifted almost immediately. A sense of gratification, unlike anything else, cleanses your mind. You feel at peace, you have each other, and you will get through everything and anything, hand in hand. Not everything in life that weighs you down is for you to carry alone. And the sooner you realize that, the easier things will be. And if you ever do find yourself feeling afraid or down, they will be there to pick you up. In a world that is full of nothing but hatred and misery, find sanctity within each other. In life, we sometimes need to feel a level of sadness to truly appreciate everything we have. Learning to appreciate all our blessings, that is happiness. It is a stepping stone that changes your whole outlook on life. And in the process, you learn to love yourself and everyone around you more and more as the days go by. We all need reassurance. And sometimes it can be as simple as putting a coat over a kid's shoulders to let him know that the world hasn't ended.